action!
Okay, now in this video, we're doing it with the lens which is actually on my Canon 550D. It's the Canon zoom lens EFS 17 to 85mm. Now this is an f4 to 5.6, so its aperture changes as you zoom. f4 isn't really that bright. That's actually a whole stop down from an f2.8, which means if you have a shutter speed of 100th of a second with a 2.8, with this lens you'd have a shutter speed of a 50th of a second. And if you've got it at 85mm, then you're definitely going to be in the area of getting blur in your images here. What I've done is I've set my little flash on my Canon so that it's not really affecting the image, and I'm still using my Nikon flashes here. It's a little bit technical and a little bit complicated, but I'm able to use a Canon camera with Nikon lenses and it's not too much of a difficulty. So here we're going to do a shot with Kim at 17mm f4, and then we'll take it up to f8. Okay, so here's the first photo. This is at a 200th of a second and at f4 and at 17mm. So I'm fairly close to Kim, but you can see I'm getting quite a lot of the background and everything, so it's a nice big area. If we zoom in, let's go straight into the eyeball. It's not looking too, oh that's more than 1:1, that's 1:1. Okay, so that's Kim's face. You can see sharpness in her face. You can see the Canon seems to give a bit more of a pink or a bit more of a red look to the image. I think that's more due to the camera rather than the lens. But sharpness wise, around her eyelashes is pretty darn good. If we go even further in and we look at the soft box in her eye, you can actually see this little dot here. That's actually the flash from the camera, and you can see this is the soft box with the beauty dish going off here. So they're both going off at the same time in the image. It looks like there might be a little bit of chromatic aberration there, but really nothing that's really too bad. Nothing that's really affecting it adversely. So yeah, I think that was pretty good. Let's see now with it at f8. So this is it at f8. So if we just go from f4, f8, f4, f8. Oh, it's really difficult to see a difference here. Maybe it is a little bit better. Let's zoom into a crazy closeness here. Let's go to f4 again. f4, there's definitely more blue stuff coming out here. f8, definitely no blue stuff there. Okay, so yes, so chromatic aberration is definitely gone by the time you're at f8. And if we zoom back out again, it's just looking very nice and sharp. I wouldn't say it's as sharp as the Nikon 50mm f1.4, but it's pretty darn good there. So that's at 17mm. And now if we go to... Okay, so that was the camera at 17mm and at f4 and f8. They're both really sharp. I was actually surprisingly impressed with that. Now we're going to take it right to its telephoto length, which is at 85mm, and this will be at 5.6 because that's the biggest aperture it can do. And then 5.6 will take it up to f11, which is a full 2 stops difference. Okay, so here's the first shot, which is at f5.6. Okay, so in this photo we're now at 85mm and at f5.6. 5.6 being the widest we can, or the biggest aperture we can get. And you can see, being how close I am, there is a shallow depth of field, as in if you look over at this eye back here, it's pretty blurry. Well, this one's looking amazingly sharp, lots of detail in that eyeball there. Again, you can see the flash from the onboard camera and the flash from the Nikon SB900 inside the beauty dish. Eyeball looks amazing. You can see all the kind of little bits of makeup around the eyeball. You can see the hairs. So that's really impressive. And the background, you can see, what you can see, if you look very carefully, is that this has got the chromatic aberration. So it's got blue on this side and green on this side of the brightness from the flash. So chromatic aberration is possibly something that is going to be affecting it once you're at this level, but that's very close. Here it is at f11, so you can see the depth of field is a lot greater now, so this eye is less blurry, but still you've got that chromatic aberration, you've got the blue and the green there. So yeah, so either way, with it at f5.6 or at f11, there's still a little bit of chromatic aberration which is coming, but I think both times, if you look closely at the eyes, they're both super sharp. I'd say 5.6 maybe isn't quite as sharp as the f11. F11 looks pretty amazing into Kim's eyes there.
Okay, so that's the photos there. I was really impressed with actually how sharp the images were coming out. This lens actually has, well, it says it's got a macro function. Whenever you get at 85mm and as close as you can, it's effectively saying it's in the macro range, and it was producing really, really good images. The other thing is the different looks that you get from Canon compared to Nikon in the images straight out of the camera. Canon seems to have a lot more kind of buzz to them, a lot more pop to them. But anyway, that's not so much to do with the lens, that's more with the in-camera settings. However, very impressed with the 17 to 85mm lens. It's pretty much a really good walk-around lens. At 17mm, it's pretty wide angle. Obviously, the only thing is you can't use it on a full frame camera. Canon are slightly annoying about the fact that you can't use your APS-C size lenses for your full frame lens, for your full frame cameras. It just doesn't actually fit on the body, which really sucks and is bad of Canon. However, a really good walk around lens and a fairly good portrait lens. I was quite happy with it. However, it's not great for dark conditions. So definitely an outside in the sunshine kind of thing, but fairly good enough using it at 4 and a f5.6 aperture. So if you want to have a little look at this, I'll write a little bit of review on the blog, which will be down below, and I'll put up the video and the links if I can find any discounts for it as well if you're wanting to get it. But I'd say it's a pretty damn good lens sharpness wise. Okay, hope that helps. Cheers. Bye bye.